What is good, everyone? Hope you guys had a good morning. I just finished up the trading day. You can see that it's not even 7 o'clock yet. Just decided to do my recap video a little bit earlier today. So let's see the trades I took. So the first thing I noticed was that market overnight session. Yeah, it was flying. Look at this. This is the whole overnight session that's shaded in white. The high was from 25.04. The low, 24.498. That's like 500 points that moved overnight. That's insane. People in the overnight session were probably loving it for sure. But yeah, so since we were moving down a lot, I was able to use like very high time frames. And one of the high time frames I used was the 610 volumetric range. Just ignore that for a sec. So you can see that we are coming up in this demand zone area that I had drawn out, and we do bounce out of it for a little bit, but kind of retrace back down, and you can see that we do break it. But the first area I was looking at this morning before pre-market is this retracement area back into this zone. Yes, it is a little risky, a little sus, I would say, because we are in this demand zone. So let's just kind of see what happens on the 144 at that area. So on the 144, excuse me, you can see on the 144, if I get rid of these lines, the fib, it's just a little clearer to see. You can see that we get that high and we get the low here. Now what we look for is a tiny high and a tiny low that don't break the high or the low of the range. And we get that right here. We get a nice confirmed candle close to the downside. We get a good rejection test here, and we also get another one here. I probably would have entered on this candle, honestly, but that's just a very large stop loss. So even though this was like at 5:43, so 45 minutes before market opens, I wasn't like here to even see it, so I wouldn't even have bothered to think of it. But then I saw, like, you know, since it did reject this zone area, I had high confidence that we were going to be going to the downside, especially since, you know, we do retest this zone area around market open, and we kind of start rejecting, and you see we just kind of keep going down. So what I was looking for was in this area, I wanted to see another short setup on shorter or on smaller time frames. So the first one that I think I saw was maybe, was it on the 233? Just give me a sec. Maybe it was on 144. I guess I'll share the screen with you. I don't know why I took it away. Yeah, maybe it was this. I'm trying to see why I have this box drawn right there. Just give me one sec. 34. Is it on the 55? Oh, I see. Okay, yeah. So it was on the 233. So if we go into the 233 and we go back a little bit, so you can see that we are retracing into this area, to this 233 candle, which is pretty much that whole 144 tiny high, tiny low zone, which is good because I want to see like a retracement back into that zone, and I want to see us kind of rejecting that area. Excuse me. So as we enter that zone here, I am looking for a potential rejection, and if we go into the 55, we can see that we have this low, not tiny low, but we have this just normal low way down here, then we have a high formed here. So as long as we get that tiny high and tiny low formed without breaking this range, we have our model set up. And we get that model set up right here. So we have this tiny low and this tiny high. Just draw it out, but as you can see, price wasn't really respecting it. But I did take a short entry here, and I definitely could have my stop loss above this high because I still had pretty high confidence that price was going to keep going down. As you can see, it just keeps going down. But I entered here and I was able to move my stop loss to about break even. I would say I was fairly close to getting my profit target hit. I was let's see, this low was at 19.5. We entered at 28, so we're just about like a point or two away from hitting my profit target. Excuse me. But it's whatever. So this was the first trade idea that I took, or that I saw, and we can see that the 233 candle does end up closing to the downside. So like I could have just entered as right away for sure as this 233 candle closed. Excuse me. So that was the first trade idea that I took based off the 55R and the 233R. But just remember, we're still in that 610R retracement area, and we're in that 144R zone from that 610 retracement area. So as long as we really don't break this zone, as long as we don't really go into these highs up here, the play is still valid. Shorts, I'm still short bias until we break these highs. And then, I'm looking around the other charts, the other time frames as well, and I noticed if we go from the 233 and then we go into the 377, we can see that we were also in a retracement area on the 377. So if I draw that out, we switch from the 55 to the 89 volumetric, and you can see that we still are respecting that same high as we had on the 55R. We're still respecting that same low, and on the 89 time frame, now we get that tiny high and this tiny low right here. Nice confirmed breakout to the downside. And here I do enter a little bit late, but that's just because I got filled in at a worse spot, I would say. Definitely wanted to get a fill closer to like 05 to 03 area, but we ended up, since market just kind of moved through it, you can kind of see there's like no volume on this candle. It's because market, like the price just moved very quickly in comparison to like this candle right here, or this candle just moves very, very quickly. So this candle only lasted 5 seconds, like actually. So I was looking at the 55R, which is the just time frame one less than the 89R. So since I was looking at this, I entered, I guess, more prematurely, but that's kind of like how I like to enter. I'd like to enter a little bit early. Excuse me. I like to enter a little bit early. But you could definitely wait for the 89R to really be done, and you probably would have got filled in a little bit down here. And it does end up going down quite a bit. But yeah, so took this entry, and I felt really confident about this position because there's like 2 or 3 different time frames that are all aligning up together. And even though there's a demand zone down here, I still felt very confident that price would kind of just push through. At the time, it's definitely a little bit worrisome. You got to be careful about the demand zones and supply zones that you kind of draw out for yourself. But if a lot of things are kind of stacking up on top of each other, you got to end up trying out that trade, take the trade. Even if it might not look like in your favor, but if many things are aligned, just take it. So that's kind of what I did. Like 3 things were aligned, and I was like, this honestly rarely ever happens. And you can see how big of a move we ended up going down. From my original entry, 627, we ended up going another almost 200 points down. Actually more, like 200 points down. So, that could have been a very, very big day if I really wanted it to be like a very big day. But again, that's not how we trade. So that was the second trade I took this morning. And then I only took one more trade. Instead of having both of these trades, instead of having this last trade be on both my accounts, I only took it on the Perdia account. And I didn't want to take it on the MyFund Futures account because there's really no need to, especially if you're on the core plan for the 50K account. And if you're gonna get moved to live soon, there's really no need to, because none of your extra profits transition or transfer over to your live account. So there's really no point. I'm just taking my money and just walking away. And now this is the last trade I took. You can see I took an entry and I was able to hit my target, and we do end up kind of just going down. Now the reason why I entered this trade, I believe, was due to the 144. I'm just double checking, and no, I'm lying. It was based off the 233. Yeah. So let's see. We broke down below this demand zone, and I think this is probably the area where the 610 closed, which is that very highest time frame that had this 144 range model setup occur. Closed somewhere down here. So since it closed somewhere down here, I'm like, all right, yeah, we're definitely gonna keep going down for a little bit. I don't know how much, but we're gonna be going down to this 50% level that I'm going to draw out. So we're gonna go down to this 50% level, which you can see we do. And this is where the 610 range closed. So since it closed, I was definitely still short until we hit that 50% level. And you can see we do start retracing back off of that retracement area, or this 50% level. So, this bar closed, and I see that we are in this retracement area right there. And since we are in that retracement area, I just look for an opportunity on the 55R. So let's scroll over. So here, you can see that we're inside this 233 zone. We have a high here, then we have this low that formed here. So now we just look for the tiny high, tiny low, and we easily get that right here, this tiny high and this tiny low with the confirmed closed below that tiny low. And then, I'm just looking at the 34 R for a nice quick entry, because I'm very confident we're still going to be going down. So I was able to enter here at 24,501, and I just get my quick scalp. It's nothing too complicated. And yet again, look, I could have just honestly just aimed for a higher or more profits and have my stop loss at break even. And it was very close to getting stopped out break even, but I would have been able to make a lot more. But that's the thing, I'm not really worried about that. I'm just here to make my quick profit and just be done, be gone. There's no need to try to hit for these higher profit targets, because I feel like it doesn't happen as often as someone would have liked. So those are just the 3 trades I took for today. I did keep on watching the market just for like another 20 or so minutes, just because I was curious. But yeah, there's really no need for me to take in any other trades, to be honest. Especially once you make your profit, just hop out. So yeah, with that being said, don't overtrade. Just try to stick to your model as best as you can, and just stay confident. If you stay confident enough and stay true to yourself, you got it. You'll be fine. So with that being said, peace.